Welcome back, my friends, to TFT Hyperroll with Artark and the start of T-Hex week. This will be a one-time event because I don't expect there's going to be T-Hexes in future seasons of Hyperroll. Graphic, yeah, you know, liking, comment, algorithm, you get it by now. So the first time I posted a video on this, I titled it "Don't Do This" and warned not to force it. Yeah. There are certain circumstances under which you should force it, but only certain circumstances. This is one of the weird things I've found with this season, is that certain starts absolutely dictate certain builds. In this case, I got a Jace out of the NPC round, and even though we're playing in the Palladium, where you usually go for reach traits, Jace always triggers my interest in looking at the possibility of going Piltover. But first, we have the augments, nothing here that's really going to support anything. Go with the buried treasure for random components. I've got a Callista, I've got a Viego. Palladium is a great place to play 6 Shadow Isles, so I go ahead and set up for that, but grab the Orianna just in case. Then I'm looking for Viegos or anything, find Vi, go, you know what? I've now got 3 Piltovers, so it is time to just go Piltover. Welcome to the T-Hex. And once you pick up Piltover, you have one goal: lose. Lose badly. Do not win. Everyone is a frontliner. Nobody gets an item. You don't want to take a chance on accidentally winning one of these early matches, because that can ruin your entire run. You're gonna take whatever chance you can to build items that will help later, and you'll notice I'm doing that here as I'm getting Zeri items ready, I'm getting frontliner items ready, but I am making sure that I lose at all costs. There's another Piltover team in this match. They have items on their champions. They are going to win. That's not going to help them at all. Now, if you've done your job right, you have lost all the way into the second set of augments. Gunner Crown will work fantastic because Gunners work great with Piltover. Now, here's where you want to kind of start trying a little bit. You don't necessarily want to win the next fight, but it's time to start adding items in, because if you win, it isn't the worst thing possible. Once your T-Hex is over 30, it will then have the T-Hex breath, which is the thing that you want to get to. Without that breath, it's just a toy standing on the battlefield waiting to get knocked over. In 6 is where you need to pull out all the stops. You need to win in the next couple of rounds, or else, well, yeah, you run out of health and the game's over. You're really hoping to get Zeri here, but you want to take every advantage you can starting in level 6. So use whatever you can in order to win, because that will then power up your T-Hex. While it is true, the longer you keep up your lose streak, the bigger your potential T-Hex will be, and there comes a point in the match where if you win that round, you can probably just sit back and relax and win. I don't like taking it that close. Now, to me, the most important champion in this entire build is Zeri. Tristana was just item holding for her. Rageblade, Infinity Edge, anything with power is critical. Now remember, this was the Palladium, which means we get a Scroll of Knowledge and we can duplicate a trait. I found a Sejuani who was serving as my second bruiser and decide, you know what, let's grab Freljord and make that one of our traits. That way, the opposing team is going to get frozen. That will give Zeri more time to do what she does, which is execute people. And you can see that is the key. Now, once you have your win, get ready to watch your T-Hex become the monster we always knew it could. Depending on which Piltovers you have, if you happen to have Echo, then you're likely going to want to try to get into Zaun, because then you can make Zeri even stronger with a modification.
It's time for the final set of augments, and there's one I hadn't seen before, the Chem Tech Enhancements. Units with Zaun Chem mods gain 500 health, allies start in combat adjacent to them, gain 100 health, and you get 2 Zaun units. Easy choice since I've now gone up to 4 Zaun. I was kind of hoping they would give me another Zeri there, but no such luck. At this point, your job is pretty much done. You've raised your T-Hex, it now has enough power that it can pretty much solo the other team. Having Freljord on this team is definitely helping because it's freezing them, but T-Hex is leading the damage charts. And I've exchanged Warwick for Urgot simply because, well, Urgot is a more powerful unit, but does it even matter? This really is just all about the T-Hex. Now, because this comp wasn't quite OP enough yet, Gary decided to give me a Senna, so Rageblade, meet Senna. Now we're going to have additional shielding. Jace goes between Senna and Zeri, and that's going to be really hard to stop. And while this almost feels unfair at this point, since we have Rage Blades on Zeri and Senna, Zeke's Herald can go onto Jace, speeding them up even more. And the first time I played this build, I called it high risk, high reward, and while that's still somewhat true, I think it's less true than I let on in that first game, and we'll get into more of that throughout this week. And I somewhat feel bad for the person who got to 8 Void and got Baron and was likely thinking, I've got this locked, when they ran into something that's even worse than Baron. Just look at the T-Hex and how little of its health is actually impacted during that fight. And with that rather crushing victory, we are into the top 4. It's time for our final 2 items, and we picked up a Heimer because why not? So we can get a Spear of Sojin for Heimer, so he's casting a little more often. Then it's just a matter of trying to look for whatever's going to help the team. Titan's Resolve, an excellent item for Urgot, but again, why bother? Shrink Module is one of my favorite items for the gun because it will make opponents a little smaller. But look, when your T-Hex is over 80, a lot of this doesn't matter anymore. Now, this is something I see very rarely, and I was shocked to see the other Piltover team make it into the top 4 since they were taking a long time to build up their T-Hex. But their T-Hex is only 55 power versus mine with over 80. Again, once you get there, it just doesn't matter anymore. So the team we are facing in the final round is a Yordle Bastion Gunner team with a 4-star Tristana. Generally, Yordles are the other OP build that can work, but luckily for me, they only have 1 4-star Yordle. So it's not as OP as it could be, and when the T-Hex lets loose, the team is reduced to pretty much ashes, and it is GG for everyone. This week, we'll be going over this build in a lot more detail, the pitfalls, the fun parts, everything you can do. Hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, have an absolutely awesome day.